Welcome to EVSRA and rowing in the Tidewater area. The purpose of this video is to increase the awareness for the need of volunteers, as well as cross-training of volunteers, so that regattas can be held. Regattas require a large number of volunteers, and currently the job responsibilities are divided up among the local schools. The volunteer commitment to EVSRA is in addition to the need for volunteers that are required for the success of the program at all levels, particularly on the individual teams. EVSRA stands for Eastern Virginia Scholastic Rowing Association. It is the governing body for scholastic rowing in the Eastern Virginia region. The EVSRA is a nonprofit organization, and it was formally organized in 2005. EVSRA sponsors a full schedule of regattas for high school-aged men and women. In 2009, more than 650 rowers from 17 member schools will participate in sprint regattas on beautiful Lake Whitehurst in Norfolk, Virginia. Most of the member schools are located in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and Chesapeake. Member schools outside of the immediate area come from Virginia's Eastern Shore, Tappahannock, Richmond, and Charlottesville. EVSRA is a volunteer organization, and each local member school has agreed to provide volunteers for each regatta. It is important that all schools honor this commitment, as well as have volunteers cross-trained to help out in the event of volunteer shortages that may result from smaller regattas where there is a decrease in the number of available volunteers, or with public school, private school, or independent school regattas occurring on the same day at different locations. Volunteers are crucial to all regattas. Without a strong availability of volunteers, the regattas cannot be held. The major regatta functions are assigned to the local schools belonging to EVSRA. The Dock Master, which includes launch and recovery docks, Course Master, which includes course setup, Course Marshal, which includes course marshals and stake boat holders, Launch Master, Finish Line, Grounds Marshal, and the Regatta Office. Volunteer coordination. Each school provides a volunteer liaison to represent their team on EVSRA's local organizing committee. This person works with their school's parent group to ensure they have the required number of volunteers to support their assigned function on regatta days. EVSRA has a volunteer coordinator who works with the school liaisons. The coordinator organizes the assignment of volunteers as needed. On regatta day, many parents offer to help out. Volunteer sign-up is located at the regatta office. Each school also is required to provide experienced motor launch operators for each regatta. Frequently, there are two sets of volunteers to share the position during the day, so that no one person is at a job for too long a period. The motor launch operators are necessary for transporting the referees, judges, and stake boat holders. Generally, two launches carry referees that follow the boats during each race to monitor safety and any violations. The regatta director is also a volunteer position and is key to the regatta operation. The regatta director is responsible for overseeing all functions on regatta day. He or she is the main contact for the officials and other regatta volunteers. The regatta office is the hub of the regatta. The responsibilities of the regatta office include setting up and cleaning up the regatta office area. It requires you to be there a little earlier and staying a little later. The regatta office is also responsible for calling the coaches and coxswains meetings in the morning before the regatta. They will announce when the meeting is starting over a loudspeaker or by walking around using a bullhorn. Safety is very important at regattas. There is a safety officer who has specific procedures to follow at each regatta. First aid is usually in close proximity to the regatta office. The local EMS is sometimes present for the regattas to cover medical emergencies. Safety is critical throughout the regatta. Whether you are on land, the docks, or in the boats, everyone in the regatta should be mindful to watch what you are doing. There are a lot of obstacles around the regatta area. Pay attention. Listen for safety announcements and watch out for oars and boats being carried. Follow dock and boating safety rules. Do not have too many people down in or around any of the dock areas at one time, and observe proper boating safety. In the event of any injuries, seek medical attention promptly. All officials have radios for quick communication in the event of any safety issues. The weather radio has to be on at all times and monitored carefully in the event of impending inclement weather that may compromise the safety of everyone present at the regatta. The information is relayed to the officials. If any changes to the race are made, they will be announced promptly. The times come from the finish line and are entered into the computer. The results are then printed so that the ribbons and medals can be processed for the awards. The regatta office is also responsible for T-shirt sales. Race results are given to the regatta office. Ribbons and medals are prepared for presentation after the regatta. Prior to launching, all racing shells will be inspected for safety at the Control Commission, usually located in the launch dock area. First, the coxswain presents his or her boat to the referee by stating race, event title, school, lane number, and then the race official checks to make sure that there is a bow ball and that it is securely and properly attached to the boat. The bow ball is required as the bow is very sharp and can cause injury in the event of a collision. The official will then verify that there is a bow number. The bow number identifies the lane in which the boat will be rowing during the event. The official checks to make sure that shoes cannot be pulled out more than 3 inches or 3 fingers because of the shoe ties. Less than 3 fingers between the shoe and the footplate, or the shoe tie is missing or broken, then the official will require that the coxswain remove the boat from the area to fix it. The heel ties of the shoes are tied so that if any rower has an emergency and has to get out of the boat quickly, they can snatch their heels out of the shoes. If the shoe ties are too long, missing, or broken, then they will not be able to get their feet out of the shoes quickly. The race official then gives the approval for the boat to access the launch dock. If there are any deficiencies, then the coxswain will have to remove the boat to another area and address them before the boat can launch. If the deficiencies cannot be corrected, then that boat will be scratched from the race, and the starting line, finish line, and regatta office need to be informed. Depending on the availability of qualified inspectors, the inspections sometimes will be taken care of at the individual school rigging or boat sites, but usually they occur just before they enter the launch dock area. The launch dock is where all of the boats go into the water. There will be 2 to 3 people in the launch dock area with experience. The area around the Control Commission and launch dock need to be kept clear, and only those who need to be in the area are allowed. Before each heat launches, the team should bring their oars down to the launch area. For some teams, the oars will already be in close proximity to the launch dock. Permission to launch and the launching location on the dock is controlled by the dock master. After exiting the Control Commission, the coxswain must check in with the dock master before proceeding onto the dock. During launching, crews should have someone on the dock and on land to cover the launch dock area. Coaches, rowers, rowers carrying oars, and people carrying the shoe bins are the only ones allowed on the dock at launch. Once the job is completed on the dock, all non-rowers need to exit the dock as quickly as possible. In the launch dock area, things must be done quickly and safely. Boats will launch from either side of the launch dock, and the total time a team should spend on the dock launching should be no longer than 2 minutes. However, safety is not to be compromised by speed. The maximum number of boats allowed on the launch dock is controlled by the dock master. The dock masters will have a list of the race schedule and which boats are supposed to launch for each heat. Once the races are announced, event number, and first call, second call, or last call, the boats will be lined up waiting to enter the launch dock, and they cannot enter until the dock master clears them to enter the dock. The order of launch is in the order of the heats. The dock master verifies that the bow number is on the boat. If the number is missing and the boat is allowed to proceed, then the starting judge needs to be made aware of this. The people on the dock have to check off the boats as they launch. They need to verify that all of the boats scheduled for that heat have launched. Sometimes boats will have problems which require them to be removed from the dock. The race can be delayed. The delayed boat may be rescheduled to a different race, or the boat may be scratched from the race. When there has been a final call for an event and a boat is still missing, a runner may have to be sent from the launch dock area to find the coach of the missing boat to determine what the problem is. It is important for teams to notify the dockmaster of any boats that are being scratched from any races in a timely manner to avoid confusion and/or delays at the launch dock or starting line. The dockmaster has to inform the starting judges of any issues on the launch dock that may affect the start of the race. There is close communication between the launch dock, the chief referee, and the starting line, which is done with radios. Once all of the boats for a heat are accounted for, then the dockmaster will let the starting judge know that all of the boats for that heat have launched. Some boats are hot seated and will occur at the launch dock. Hot seating involves a rower who is in 2 events, and their next race is launching around the time that they are finishing the previous race. The rower has to exit the recovery dock and get over to the launch dock as quickly as possible. Hot seating needs to be communicated to the dockmaster to avoid unnecessary delays in the control commission and launch dock areas. Stake boat holders help to position the boats for the start and keep the sterns held in place waiting for the race. They follow the commands of the alignment referee in positioning the boat and do not position based on what they perceive needs to be done. The coxswain and the stroke are responsible for getting to and maintaining their shell position at the stake boat. The stake boat holder holds the boat in position until the start, adjusts the boat position based on the instructions from the aligning referee, and needs to let go of the boat when the start of the race is called. As the boat approaches the starting line, it can only proceed onto the course when and as directed by the starting official. In the assigned lane, about 2 boat lengths from the dock, the boat is turned to face away from the stake boat. The boat is then backed up until the stake boat holder can hold the stern. There are several ways to do this, but the most prevalent are: the coxswain may control the entire effort, or the coxswain directs the stroke to back the boat into the dock, while the coxswain maintains the lane alignment. The stroke will direct seat 3 in a 4 or seat 7 in an 8, rowing or backing until the stake boat holder is holding the stern, at which time the stroke returns control to the coxswain. The boat needs to come in slow and not fast so that the stake boat holder can catch the boat. The boat is pushed down and away on the stern, making sure that their hands are not behind the stern where they can get crushed. The stake boat holder will be directed by the alignment official as to whether the boat needs to be pushed out or pulled back, whatever alignment requires the bow ball to be aligned on the line. Under a lot of circumstances, these calls will be signaled or radioed to the stake boat. The stake boat holder should be on their stomach while holding the boat. There is greater instability when on the knees. You may want to bring something to put on the dock if you are concerned about lying on the dock, and you may also want to bring a chair and a book or other activity while waiting between races. At the start of the race, the boat may need to be moved laterally. This is done by spiking. When spiking, a rower passes the oar handle to another rower to allow the oar to be held parallel to the shell gunnel and be pulled in short chopping strokes to move the bow sideways. When the race starts, the start official then calls, "Attention, row." The stake boat person needs to let go of the boat. The stake boat holder does not move the stern once the aligner has raised his white flag to signify readiness to race, as it will affect the position of the boat. If the stake boat person lets go of the boat too soon, the boat could be charged with a penalty, and if they do not let go of the stern, then they can be pulled into the water.
All right, Laura, I need you to pull it back extra hard. Mandy, drop out. Mandy, add in. Slow it down, ladies, slow it down. Okay, add in. Mandy, I need a back. Okay, Lena. Thank you. You. All right, let me have, nothing. We are good. She is, look.
That's all I need to know. finish line is located between two designated reference points. The first being the platform occupied by the referee, and the second a fixed location on the other side of the race course. Finish line positions include the following: timers, usually one per lane, a person with a flag, and a person with a horn. The referee at the starting line drops the flag at the start of the race. At the same time, the finish referee raises the flag. When the first boat is approaching the finish line, the official will direct the flag to go up. Clocks cleared and eyes on the line. At the finish of the first boat, the ref will call 1, and that is when the clocks are started. The finish flag is lowered when the first bow ball crosses the finish line, and then it is raised and lowered alternately as each succeeding boat's bow crosses the finish line. The horn also signals each boat's finish. Each shell's finish is called when the finish official visually sees the bow ball go over the line. It is important for the officials to familiarize themselves with the oar colors to further help discern teams. The finish line must be informed of any problems at the start by the start officials. After all the crews have crossed the finish line and are checked by the referees for any injuries or protests, the race referee displays a white flag and announces that the race is complete, and gives a time to the finish line judges. That time is then transferred to the card. Written on this card are the event number and the order of the finish. The chief judge then signs the card, and it is submitted to the regatta office and posted on the board at the finish line area. When directed by the finish referee, timers are instructed to clear their watches in order to make sure the time clocks are ready to go for the next event.
Time is 4:35.
Protests are registered by the coxswains raising their hand and a referee coming over to them on the water. If it is resolved on the water, the finish line is then informed, as this will affect the finish order. If the event is not settled on the water, then the final times are posted later after the protest has been resolved.
The recovery dock is where the boats return after the race to be taken out of the water. There is a recovery dock master on the recovery dock, and access to the dock and surrounding area should be limited to those only involved with the recovery of boats after a race. Volunteers need to assist monitoring access to this dock and area. When the boats are coming in for recovery, the following needs to occur. With 4s, 2 people need to come down and get the oars. With 8s, 4 people need to come down and get the oars. The shoe bins are brought down to return the rowers' shoes to them when they get out of the boat. Extra assistance for boats with smaller or less experienced rowers may be needed to help lifting their boat out of the water and carrying it off the dock. Sometimes they are too tired or inexperienced to do this safely. The time on the dock needs to be quick, about 2 minutes, without compromising safety. The number of people allowed on the recovery dock is limited at any one time, as there are a lot of safety issues on the dock to include, but not limited to, oars across the dock, which can cause someone to trip, anywhere from 2 to 4 boats at a time on the recovery dock, and coaches will be down helping to guide in and recover their boats. After the boats come into the docks, the oars are removed, outside oars first, then inside oars, and coxswains have instructions on what to do and communicate instructions to the rowers in getting the boat out of the water. Rowers will then put on their shoes. The coxswain coordinates the boats being removed. The sequence and location of recovery and the number of boats which can be on the recovery dock at any time is controlled by the dock master and recovery officials. Hot docking or hot seating is done when the turnaround time for a shell or rower is needed for another race and a full pre-launch sequencing would cause excessive delay in racing. Hot docking is done at the recovery dock or previously designated dock. The rowers that will be going out in the boat go down on the dock when their boat is coming in. The returning rower's shoes are placed on the dock, and the rowers leaving place their shoes in the shoe bin. The returning rowers then exit the boat, and the other rowers get on the boat, and then they leave the dock as quickly as possible. All boats that are being hot docked need to be communicated to the dock master so that he can check the boat off his launch list and not hold up any heats affecting the race. Race officials are also volunteers. They are trained in accordance with the U.S. rowing rules. They will spend a year working through the different positions at all the regattas. They must pass a written test, and then they will receive final certification and referee designation by the U.S. Rowing Association. Race officials are essential to any regatta being run, and it is important to keep a consistent pool of race officials for all regattas. Their commitment to training and regattas is critical for the regattas being able to be held. Teams are encouraged to help increase the pool of available race officials each year and to support getting more volunteers trained to be race officials. Please consider pursuing becoming a race official to help further support rowing and EVSRA.